we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What's all this we stuff? They just want the rabbit.
This was the first time that a movie completely changed what we thought about animation and live-action films. Back in 1988, Who Framed Roger Rabbit stunned everyone with mind-blowing visuals that combined real actors and cartoon characters in ways that no one had seen before. It's hard to believe that 55 minutes of animation would take 2 years and 326 artists to create. Every single frame was drawn by hand and added to the live-action footage using traditional methods. That's right, no advanced computers to help, only pure talent and hard work that modern filmmakers can't imagine today. Besides these obvious facts, the film has some pretty strange ones as well. So today we'll count down and check out 12 weird facts about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Number 12. Actors performed with no characters, props, or reference. Can you even imagine acting your heart out while staring at thin air? Well, that's exactly what the cast of Who Framed Roger Rabbit had to do. Roger, voiced by Charles Fleischer, Jessica Rabbit, voiced by Kathleen Turner, Baby Herman, voiced by Louis Hirsch, and all of the Toons weren't there during filming. Not a shadow or even a rough sketch. Instead, actors like Bob Hoskins, who played the lead role of Private Detective Eddie Valiant, had to perform every scene with nothing but their own imagination. He was simply reacting to empty space as though the cartoon characters were right there with him.
You keep talking like that and I'm gonna have to wash your mouth out.
Director Robert Zemeckis refused to use costume stand-ins because he wanted the Toons to feel as real as possible. Because of it all, the crew worked hard to keep everything believable. They used metal rods to mimic eye level, simple rigs to move props the Toons were holding, and had off-camera crews read all of the cartoon lines. To help Hoskins nail Roger Rabbit's unique energy, the animation director acted out movements during rehearsals so that he could sync perfectly with the eventual cartoon performance. Even with all of the preparation, the process still wasn't easy. It was so demanding that Hoskins later admitted to hallucinating cartoon characters around him months after pretending that they were there. Number 11. Entire scenes animated frame by frame after filming. This fact will show you why modern-day films can't understand the pure dedication and craftsmanship that went into classics like this. Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a movie where every single animated sequence was created frame by frame after the live-action filming had been wrapped up. There were no real fancy computers, no CGI shortcuts, no motion capture technology. But instead, each cartoon character was hand-drawn on paper, laboring one frame at a time. Over 82,000 animation cells were created for the movie, which made it the first major Disney film to utilize this traditional technique since 1965's Sleeping Beauty. The animators would spend months studying every little detail of the live-action scenes. They had to match where the characters were looking, the timing of the movements, the reflections, and even the shadows to make the cartoons feel like they were part of the real world. Now, here's the craziest part. Since the animation was done after filming, they couldn't change anything that happened during the live-action shoot. So, if something wasn't quite right, animators had to figure out a way to fix it, no matter how much time it took. Number 10. Every animated object had to obey real physics. The director didn't want to leave any room for doubt, so when it came to bringing the Toons to life, even though the characters were cartoons, every animated object they interacted with had to obey real-world physics. This was non-negotiable. Director Robert Zemeckis and animation director Richard Williams set one rule. The Toons could stretch, squash, and be hilariously exaggerated, but the environment itself couldn't cheat. If a Toon picked up a real object, it had to behave exactly as if a human were lifting it. The drawers had to slide with resistance, doors had to swing naturally, and objects had to show weight and momentum, and without these details, the illusion would crumble instantly.
Didn't you used to be Eddie Valiant?
To make it all work, the production team did not rely on shortcuts like many other movies. They used advanced mechanical rigs, hidden wires, skilled puppeteers, and even motorized props. Some objects were painstakingly moved on set frame by frame so that when animated characters were added later, they looked as though they were interacting with real, tangible things. Animators studied the live-action footage carefully to ensure that every movement aligned with the rules of gravity, friction, and inertia. The toons were only allowed to break physical laws when it was funny, adding to the magic without ruining the realism. Number 9. Multiple animation studios collaborated. Now, this one is truly mind-blowing. Think of multiple rival animation studios coming together to make one single movie. It sounds unbelievable, but that's exactly what happened, and it was almost unheard of in Hollywood, especially in the 1980s. The movie had to have characters from completely different cartoon universes in order to share the screen, and to make this happen, Disney would broker agreements with Warner Brothers, Fleischer Studios, King Features Syndicate, and more. And that's why you get to see Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse having a conversation, Donald Duck and Daffy Duck fighting on pianos, and even Betty Boop and Popeye making appearances.
Aw, poor fella.
Yeah, ain't I a stinker?
Each studio would make sure that their characters stayed true to the personalities that the audiences knew and loved, and behind the scenes, animation duties were centralized at Richard Williams' London studio, with every movement and line being supervised so characters behaved exactly as expected. Number 8. Disney and Warner Brothers agreed to equal scene time. The fact that multiple rival studios came together wasn't enough to make it simple. Disney and Warner Brothers had a strict rule book to follow. These two animation giants were not about to let their iconic characters be overshadowed or outshined by each other. To keep things fair, they contractually demanded equal treatment for their stars in every way you could imagine. Equal screen time, equal lines of dialogue, and equal importance in the story were all written into the deal. You can clearly see this fairness in some of the film's standout scenes. For example, Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny share a skydiving moment where they each deliver the exact same number of lines, and the unforgettable piano duel between Donald Duck and Daffy Duck, it's an equal battle of gags, timing, and reactions. Even the tiniest details, like who lands a punchline or who gets a reaction shot, were properly planned to ensure no character came out on top. Number 7. Bob Hoskins' bruised ribs miming Roger. Hoskins gave everything that he had to bring Eddie Valiant to life, and it came at a cost. Pretending Roger Rabbit was real was mentally exhausting. But what's worse is that the role had pushed Hoskins to his physical limits. He did everything, slamming into walls, twisting his body in impossible ways, and throwing himself onto the hard sets. But why? Well, it was to make the viewers believe in a cartoon character that wasn't even there.
Your floor, sir. Have a good day, sir.
To copy Roger's wild actions, like jumping into Eddie's arms or grabbing and holding onto him, Hoskins had acted like invisible things were really pulling and crashing into him. He worked hard every day for 16 long hours, doing stunts over and over in order to make sure that everything looked perfect. The result was amazing for the film, but not for the actor. Hoskins walked away with bruised ribs, endless soreness, and complete exhaustion, all as a byproduct that he did not enjoy at all. Number 6. Jessica Rabbit intentionally animated impossibly. It might be weird that Jessica Rabbit was created to be impossible on purpose, but it's not like the animators gave her exaggerated curves and long flowing movements for no reason. They wanted her to stand out in a way that shows that she's not a regular person trying to look glamorous, but a cartoon that's meant to bring temptation to life. Her design was all about pushing beyond what's real, but here's the crazy part. Her movement still had to be believable. To make it all happen, animators studied real-life performances and used a technique called rotoscoping to trace and adapt real human motion. Then they stretched and twisted those motions to make them more exaggerated while still making her movements feel smooth and natural. They had to get everything right, from her shadows to her reflections, even the rhythm of her movements, to make her fit in with the real actors on screen. As a result, they created a character who looks completely unrealistic, but somehow fits perfectly into the real world. No wonder her famous line is, "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way."
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Number 5. adult jokes intentionally hidden from censors. Adult jokes are intentionally hidden, but it's almost as if the filmmakers were playing a clever game with the audience, slipping in humor that only grown-ups would catch while keeping the movie fun for children. Working within a PG rating, they had to be sneaky. There was no better option than crafting jokes in ways that would fly under the radar of censorship. But how did they do it? They did it through blink-and-you-miss visuals, quick wordplay, and double meanings that would fly over a child's head, but still make adults smirk knowingly. Take Jessica Rabbit, for example. Her dramatic style and secretive dialogue feel like something pulled right out of an old detective movie. Her character was made to hint at grown-up ideas without being too obvious, and those sneaky background jokes, well, many of them were hidden in quick animations or rapid reactions.
Come on, Roger, let's go home. I'll bake you a carrot cake.
Designed to be missed on casual viewing. You can rewatch the movie now, and you'll definitely notice them. Number 4. Cameras mounted to robotic rigs for animation sync. Because the advanced technology wasn't there yet, filmmakers had to think outside the box, quite literally. Live-action footage and animated characters had to move together like two dancers in flawless sync. But how could they achieve that? Well, this challenge resulted in the invention of motion-controlled robotic rigs. These specially designed cameras recorded every detail of their movements, right down to the smallest fraction of a second. And here's where things get even more cool. Every time the camera swooped, tilted, or panned, these rigs ensured the animators could match the movement exactly frame by frame. When animated characters interacted with real-life objects, like bumping into boxes or casting a precise shadow, it all felt as natural as magic. But there's more. Props like Baby Herman's cigar were drawn in and controlled by mechanical robots, making scenes so buttery smooth, you'd swear the tunes were alive. Number 3. The budget nearly collapsed the production. From the beginning, making the movie would be a huge risk that almost fell apart. It was a mixture of live action and animation, something that most people couldn't even dream of back then. But what began as a tough experiment would quickly turn into something much bigger, not just in ideas, but also in cost. At first, Amblin Entertainment suggested a huge $50 million budget. The price was so high that Disney CEO Michael Eisner didn't want to approve it. To calm his concerns, it was then slashed down to $29.9 million, and for a moment, everything seemed manageable. However, behind the scenes, production was not under control. The film's complex designs, packed in with 326 animators hand-drawing every frame, and the lengthy 14-month post-production saw expenses skyrocket. It would soon cost them past $40 million, which shocked the Disney offices. Rumors would spread that Eisner was on the brink of pulling the plug altogether. And just when it all seemed hopeless, Chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg stepped in. Desperate to save the film, he convinced Eisner that the project was key to Disney's animation revival. And against all odds, production then resumed, scraping together every ounce of creativity and funding to get across the finish line. By the end, estimates suggest costs ranging anywhere from $45 million to a jaw-dropping $70 million, making it the most expensive film of its decade. But the gamble ended up paying off, and when it finally hit theaters, it smashed expectations, raking in over $351 million worldwide. Number 2. Animators studied real-light physics obsessively. The animation team had no option but to study real-light physics to get the job done. To make the cartoons feel like they truly existed alongside human actors, they dove deep into how light works in real life. Under the guidance of director Richard Williams, animators observed how light falls, bounces, diffuses, and reflects, as well as how the shadows will shift in a given space. Then, frame by frame, they recreated those effects by hand, matching the direction, intensity, and even the softness of the lighting on set. They wanted every animated moment to feel smooth, even if it meant insane effort for details the viewers might not even notice. One iconic example of their commitment is the now famous bumping the lamp scene. When Roger Rabbit's in a room with a swinging lamp, the moving light and the shadows had to hit him just right for every frame, perfectly syncing in with the background.
Hold still, will ya?
Does this help?
Yeah, thanks.
The team's dedication to this detail gave birth to the phrase bumping the lamp, which then became a symbol of going above and beyond. They even made sure that when a toon interacted with something, like sitting on a chair, that chair would move naturally. Dust might rise, objects would appear genuinely handled, and so on. Because of this, the characters felt so real, as though they had physically stepped off the animation desk and into the live-action world. Number 1. No modern studio wants to attempt this again. The weirdest fact about the film is the reason that no big studio wants to try something like this again today. I mean, you have to think about it. With all of the advanced technology we have now, you would think it would be easier, but the thing is that it's not the technology that's stopping them. The problem is much bigger than just computers or animation tools. It all comes down to money, legal headaches, and tons of logistical chaos. Think of needing thousands of hours for hand-drawn animation, super detailed lighting setups, and months of post-production work. All of it adds up to massive price tags that studios today don't want to gamble on. And if that wasn't tricky enough, how about getting competing studios like Disney and Warner Brothers to agree to share anything ever again? That's nearly impossible with how tightly everyone guards their brands. Studios today would have to jump through endless legal hoops, figure out complicated rules, and somehow keep everyone happy, which feels like an impossible mission. Adding to that, people today might not even like the same mature or bold way of storytelling, so it's not surprising that no one's tried to make another movie like Roger Rabbit again. Now smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you know when we upload another video like this. Have any recommendations? Share them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.